Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to show you how to do a marble watercolor cookie with some metallic detailing on it that's also kind of watercolored, as you can see in the sample here. So first off, I'm just gonna go through some of the supplies and then I'll link everything below so you guys have everything, easy access. I talk with my hands, so if you can see the shadows, sorry, not sorry. First to start with is I'm using Notta Cookies. If you've never used them before, they're great. They're just plastic and you just ice them. When you're done, throw them in a sink with some soapy water and then you can rub all the icing straight off and then reuse them. So I have a whole bunch of them. They're all pre-iced, ready to go. So that's what I'm using today. It's really great if you just want to try out some techniques, but not bake a batch of cookies. You can just like whip up some icing, flood them. You can see these are like pretty roughly flooded. Some of them have little chips. It's not a big deal. It's all just samples, things to try out new techniques, and a great way to have some fun without spending your money on butter and eggs that aren't gonna go to a cookie order. So first thing, Notta Cookies, great product. If you've never heard of them, if you've never tried them, definitely check it out. Second thing that we're using, most people use, some people have different preferences for what they use for watercolor. I use airbrush colors. And the reason is you can see it's like a fluid consistency. I'm not sure if the camera picks it up very well, but it's not like the thick gel colors that you have to try and thin out. You get weird spots of different pigments. Blyss Colors is my absolute favorite. I had the opportunity to use them in a cookie class at CookieCon several years ago, and I'm hooked. I have swapped out almost all of them. I've got like 25 different colors, and I think the biggest benefit to these that I have found is that you can mix your own shades to get exactly what you want if you can't find something in their line that fits that. They mix so nicely, which is actually what we're gonna do today. I'm gonna show you that as well. And then I'm gonna link these below too. So if you haven't checked these out, Blyss Colors, they're in the Bees Baked Art Shop, who also carries some amazing products. So if you haven't checked them out, please do. The metallics that we're going to use today is TMP Super Gold. This is my go-to. They also have 3 other colors. So there is a silver, rose gold, copper, and the super gold. I love them all. The gold is my favorite. Silver is next. I use copper every now and again, and the rose gold is a bit light, so it's probably my least used one, but I still love them all. And they're like kind of like a floating pigment. So for anyone that is like an artist outside of cookie decorating and uses different pigments, you'll know what that means. It just sits on top, which is great for watercolor, so it doesn't stick to the cookie surface. It's a very fine powder, and it works beautifully for watercolor. So these are considered non-toxic, not edible, so just be aware of that. Now, these are for highlighter use. Because there's so little used in these, they are considered safe for consumption, by most people, but I don't believe it's, FDA approved, things like that. So whatever you choose to use, be aware whether it's non-toxic or completely edible. I'm not going to get into that discussion because you can go down Google rabbit holes and figure out that information for yourself and find what you want. I love TMP. I love the Super Gold. And so that's what we're using today. Some other tools to go over are paintbrushes. We're going to use some that are, this fan brush works really great because it gives you really good coverage without a lot of product. And this is kind of like a more of a narrow brush, but it's fluffy. And realistically, if I had 2 fan brushes, I would use them. I do, but the other one is covered in silver at the moment. So I'm only going to use the one. And then this one, you can see like the bristles just move around really smoothly. There's not a whole lot of, it's not rigid. It's not rigid. So these are the brushes we're going to be using. Now the other products, or a couple other tools, I guess, are these guys. So first thing is the little glass jar, and I'm going to use this. I'm just going to be putting the airbrush colors in here and mixing this. So honestly, sometimes you can use a plate, you can use bowl, whatever you want. This will just show you the pigment easily in the video. It's a baby food jar, Amazon, there you go. The other thing is this bottle right here. Now I think I've got, yep, there's some water left over. I'm gonna empty this out completely first, but I've got a couple of these. I'm gonna put some Everclear in it, and that's what we're going to use. And then this guy. So this is a brand new, not used nasal sucker, like a baby nasal sucker. And so if you squeeze it, you will feel the air come out of it, and that's what we want. So when you're making marble cookies, you want the movement in the pigments, and this is how we're going to get it without having to blow on a cookie and, you know, blow on cookies that you're making for other people to consume. So this is a really great product. You can usually pick it up for a couple bucks, Target, Amazon, whatever. We have toddlers. This one has never been used, and I use it specifically in the kitchen for this, but it was one of those, I was in need and I found a product that works. So this is what we're going to do. One moment. There we go. So the last thing too is the liquid that we're going to use is Everclear. Everclear evaporates really quickly, and it has the least amount of interference with the cookie surface itself. So it's not going to like deteriorate the icing. And so that's what I like to use. Some people use vodka. Some people like to use lemon juice. Whatever you find that works, go ahead. I use this, and the alcohol evaporates, so it's not like you're not leaving alcohol on a cookie. So to get started, what we're going to do is we're going to mix the colors to use. Okay, so I just had to grab another color. So the ones that we're going to use are these guys. So they're each going to have different amounts of pigments in them. So some of them have a base that's red, some of them have a lot of blue in it, like the plum, but I'm using blood orange, dragon fruit pink, and then plum. And then I'm gonna add a drop of shortbread to it. And this is just gonna kind of mute some of those harsher pink and purple tones. And it just kind of puts it, I don't know, I love what it does. So this is kind of important, and I use shortbread for everything. It's just like a light, almost like a nude, brownish taupe, I don't know, it's weird. But in any case, so we're just gonna start by mixing the color. I'm just gonna put in a couple drops of each. That was 2 drops of blood orange, and then 2 drops of plum, and then probably 3 or 4 drops of this pink, maybe 5, we'll see. And then a quick drop of the shortbread. There we go. So the nice thing is that it just mixes up itself. You don't have to worry too much about, like grabbing a spoon or using something else, because they're very runny. It's airbrush color. And as you can see, there's no chunks in it. Unlike gel color, you don't have to start with that chunky gel and try and loosen it up. It's already there. So next step is just filling this guy with some Everclear. Just going to be very careful. Should have done this before I did this video, but hey, live and learn, right? This is my first video. Don't judge me too harshly. There we go. Okay. And I have a couple of these running around. They don't run. A couple of these in my kitchen. I use them usually for alcohol, things like that. So now we're all set. I have the gold, and I've got it in a little container that I use. So that's already pre-laid out. So first thing that we're going to do is, it's going to go pretty quickly, because as the alcohol sets, You want to be working with your pigments, working with the liquids and the gold to make sure that you are, make sure that as it dries, it's like everywhere that you want it to be. So first thing first, we're gonna take the Everclear. We're going to drop some of these around. You can use this and just kind of blow it around the cookie. You can kind of see how it's moving. Actually, I'm gonna use this paintbrush and we're just gonna kind of blotch it in. You can see how that movement is already there. I let it dry a bit too much, so we're just gonna add a bit more. And then as we go, you can see I didn't have enough alcohol on this, so it left dark spots in here. I'm actually just gonna swap this one out and start again because I didn't have nearly enough alcohol on it. And you can see it just starts to move. And then you can grab a little bit of the gold, blow that where you want. If you need more alcohol, go ahead and add a few drops. You can see how it floats. You see it just like goes to the top of that surface. And there you go. So you've got yourself a marbled cookie with the colors underneath and the gold pigment. It ran off the edge, so we're gonna do this again. Okay. Couple drops, grab some more pigment, add where you want, add some gold into it. You can add a bit more, blow. And then at this point, you can add another drop here and there if you want to move it out. And wherever you want the pigments and your gold to move, that's where you want to put the drop on. So there you go. There's another one. This one didn't go all the way to the edge, but that's okay. All right. Add a bit more. And then movement. And if we want just a little bit more here, I want to add a little bit more gold, to some of these. And there you have it. Marbled cookies. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them down below and I'll answer them as best I can, but here you go. My AC just kicked on. But there you go. And you can try this in all sorts of different colors and, you know, work with whatever you want. Happy cooking. All the best to you.